Hello, and welcome back to the channel. On the table today is my best friend's Tamiya TXT-2. I really didn't have to do much with this. All he wanted me to do was to install these aftermarket drive shafts, um, which are meant for the low CLMT. Fortunately, they're the correct length for this truck, so and a lot more robust than the stock drive shafts that came with this. But for me to be able to do that, I had to enlarge the receiving shaft holes to be able to um, pass the grub screw pin. Basically, see if I can get that closer. That hole right there, I had to enlarge it. Spin this wheel right there. For me to be able to pass this the grub screw pin through it. Actually, I wanted to turn the pins down instead to be able to pass them through the stock holes. But it occurred to me after the fact that I've already drilled the holes. Um, as for the drive shaft hole, if I were to have turned down the pin instead, I was just gonna fill that up with JB Weld, and then I was gonna coat the pin with grease or something. So you know while it's in there settling or curing, then the JB Weld is not gonna stick to the pin. But it's too late at this point. So I guess that's just my suggestion to those who would like to use these drive shafts for this truck. Um, so while we're here, I'm gonna go ahead and install these drive shafts. And for me to do that, I use this rounded needle nose pliers. And how I remove these from the ball ends, I just basically, I've shown this on my previous video. I basically just shove it in between like this, and then kind of pry it slowly. Of course, it's not going to do it now that I'm trying to film it, but normally it's fairly easy. All right, don't be shy. There you go. And I might as well do the other side while I'm at it. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna put these drive shafts together. I try to make sure that where the grub screw pins are gonna line up, so that's not the right alignment. I'm gonna have to flip this 180. There you go. It'll just be easier to have them um, go through it, on the same side instead of you'd have to rotate the shaft. And I always like using the basically the thicker side on the driving end. So since the gearbox obviously is on the center, I want to use this side to drive uh, the axles. So let's see, make sure that's there. Let me go ahead and take the grub screw on this other end. Oh, let me see. Oh, let's put a little bit of thread lock on here. So I was told that the thread lock should go on the, it shouldn't go in the hole, that it should go into basically what's gonna screw into the hole. So put that here. Let's prime this hole. Actually, let me put that there temporarily so I could hold it in place and not spill any thread lock on the table. Just a little bit. It goes a long way. And then we'll put this in here. There we go. Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna put this end. It's kinda like doing an acrobat. I don't know. I'm not that, I don't have the dexterity like I used to. My hand-eye coordination is not as great as when I was younger. So go ahead and put this here. And here. Okay. Spin one of the tires to spin the shaft. Put the pin in there. Because it's hard to do it behind the camera. Trying to keep my distance from I'm using my phone. So, and then this one should just go in like that. I just use a vice grip to close it back up. Do the same thing for the other drive shaft. I need to find a mat for this table. I hate the noise that it makes whenever I'm dropping something down or dragging something on top of it. All right, I can't put them like one at a time because the length is obviously just the right just the right length to be able to put them in there. Like I said, I want this side in first, or use the bigger side on that end, the end of the drives. And spin. So for my juggernaut, I had to purchase a grub screw with pin like this, and then drilled a hole into my the receiving. I don't know the actual terms. The basically the shafts that that the drive axles attached to. All right, so that's that. Basically, oh, get this link, suspension link back on. All right, and that's that. All right, so another YouTuber have some missing parts to complete his second TXT. I'm talking to you, Uncle Bob. I hope you're watching. I was able to take measurements of the G part, um, the G3 parts for you. It took some time for me to design them in, basically copy them, design them in Fusion, and then finally print them. And if you have been paying attention and looking closely, that axle guard, see that? It doesn't have the lumps like the stock one does, because they are in fact 3D printed. And the upper mounting link doesn't say Tamiya. It says Galco Warrior on there. So yep, I was able to copy that as well. And from a distance, these looks like the stock bumpers, but in fact they are also 3D printed. Let's see if I could catch that on the screen. On screen, see, you see that there. These are 3D printed. The bumper, the cradle, or whatever they're called, 3D printed. 3D printed. So I was able to basically replicate all the parts that you need. Um, Unfortunately, I don't have the radio system for this rig, so I've had to test the axle guard a different way, and I think it's more rigorous than doing a 30-mile-per-hour collision onto a tree or something. So Um, although although they didn't survive, I think it'd be a different story once they're in the truck. Um, I ran out of the black ASA filament. I'm using the gray one, um, the same ones that I'm using for the differential experiment that I'm doing. These two are actually printed differently. So this was printed with um, on its side like this, and then the printer is just adding layer and layers after layer. So that's why this layer adhesion is not great at this layer. And then this was 3D printed laying like this. That's why when I did the hammer drop, it cracked this way because the layer is laid like this. But I think this is stronger than than having it printed this way. So this way printed it having it printed this way is stronger than having it printed on its side like this, because this has a stronger layer this way. So fortunately, I still had black filaments to print the axle guards, but unfortunately, I ran out of the black filament to 3D print these top, you know, I don't know what this part is called. I kept trying to 3D print this thing, and if we look at this one closely, excuse me, um, this one has a broken leg, or whatever you want to call it. Like one of the legs is broken on here, and for some reason it just keeps failing on me. And when I finally got the setting correctly, I ran out of the black filament. So hopefully you accept gray for the topper of the brace. Um, and I think it's humorous that I put my name on there, my channel name on there. So yep. We'll try to figure out how to get these parts to you. You know, at a later date. So, but yeah, that's it. I'm done with this project. That's he didn't My friend didn't need much done to it. It was already put together and everything. So, and I'm still working on the sealed axle differentials for basically the Tamiya Juggernaut, and same axle as this truck. And maybe if I get it working, he'd want me to install them also in his rig. Well, that's all for now. I hope you'll like this content, and if you do, please share them. Thank you for watching.